How you like that? You gon' like that? Da 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 da. You like that? Bada bing, bada boom, boom, boom. How you like that? Da 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 da. Now, look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. How you like that? Now, look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. How you like that?
Hey y'all, it's Sherry G. Welcome to the channel. So look, I'm not going to be before you guys long. I listened to the interview with here for, what is it? Giving You the Real Tea and Lexi, Chris Fletcher's daughter. I listened to it and I've been just kind of sitting back and just thinking about it and everything that transpired in that particular interview. We did get to see more of Lexi. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't really think we saw the good parts of Lexi. I do believe there's some good in there, but this whole interview came across as her being vindictive. It came across as her being spiteful. It came across as her being a lot of things. I mean, the interview seemed like a bash session where she was just bashing the Fletchers. And I'm not here to take sides with anybody. I'm trying to just sit back and just understand the whole dynamics of the family. It's pretty complicated. There's a lot going on in the family. And we know that just based on everything that transpired, the family dinner, and then with Chris Jr. coming and having the conversation with his father later, saying that he was feeling depressed. And then also when Nell and Chris said that they would consider going to counseling. So there is a lot going on in the family. And we, like I said, we all know that. There's a whole lot going on with Lexi. And I feel like it's complicated. It's complicated. And in situations like this, even though you may be a stepchild who experienced something like this, you may be a step parent who experienced something like this, there's just no one size fits all because you're dealing with different personalities. All of the dynamics are not the same, although there may be some similarities. So I feel like a lot of people are pulling for Chris because, hey, they know what it's like to be that step parent. A lot of people are pulling for Lexi because they know what it's like to be that stepdaughter and to feel like you're outcast, or to be the daughter and who feels like you didn't get the love and attention you needed from a parent or from your parents. Anyway, y'all, when I watched this interview, the first thing that stood out to me was just at the top of the interview and how Lexi described herself. And when she was talking about, you know, how she came to be on the show or how she came to be at that dinner with the family. And, you know, so it started off a little weird for me. Nothing to do with the blogger at all, but the way Lexi described herself as it related to being invited to that family dinner. You know, she was saying that she couldn't understand why she was being invited because she's nobody. She has nothing, those type of things. And so all of these descriptors that she gave herself was, to me, someone who suffers from low self-esteem. So that caught me off. That caught my attention right away. I just said to myself, well, one of her issues is that she suffers from low self-esteem. And where that comes from, sure, it could be because, you know, her dad wasn't there. But there's another part of me, and again, y'all, this is just my opinion, that wonders where the parents were who she lived in the house with. Because those were her caregivers, right? Chris wasn't there. That affected her. And I'm sure, like, I can't say that wouldn't affect her on a very deep level. But I still wonder, like, where the parents were, her stepfather and her mother, and what did they do to help build her self-esteem bank in absence of her father? Because she did state that, living with them was good, but she didn't give any details about that at all. And I wish she did. I wish she did give a comparison of how her stepfather came in. And so, I understand that Lexi is deeply hurt because she's missing Chris, right? She's missing, and she feels like an outsider. And like I said, I can't say that a father not being present in your life wouldn't scar you to the point that Lexi is scarred. But my opinion, and I feel that there's a lot more that we just don't know. I feel like Chris actually even stated that he wasn't there, and he's being dragged for that, right? But I wonder if there's not something we don't know. Like, what is the reason that Chris wasn't there? Like, we never got that. I'm not trying to excuse Chris by any means, y'all, because I feel like if you have a child, you need to do everything in your power to be present in their life. And I'm not sure that Chris didn't do that, because Chris has not shared his side of the story. So we don't know. He did say he wasn't there. That's all he gave us. But he didn't give the context around it. So there's a lot that we're hearing, but a lot of the context is missing. At least that's where I am with it. So I'm not here to bash Chris, and I'm not here to bash Lexi. I'm not even here to bash Nell. Like I said, there's a lot of context missing around this whole entire situation, in my opinion. So Chris was missing, and the stepfather. I just wondered, could he have been the reason, or could he have caused an interference between Chris and Lexi? Could he be the reason that Chris couldn't visit or Chris didn't visit? I don't know. I just know that the mother used to take Lexi to meet Chris halfway, and they stopped, but there was just no context given to it, no real reason. That's where I am with that part. Y'all tell me where you are. So again, like I said, I get that she's deeply hurt and there's a lot of mental anguish. And it seems to me that Lexi is still grappling with her childhood experiences, and that is actually blocking her from moving forward in her adulthood. And also listening to Lexi relive her experiences, it was just odd to me, some of the things that she shared, because some of the things that she shared seemed to me as though she was living the story through her mother's lenses. And so I did find that to be odd, and I just don't know, like, where did this come from? Because you, in one breath, say that you didn't spend much time around them, you really didn't know them, but in the next breath, she knew a lot about what took place, in their life, like how the breakup happened and all of these different things. She even questioned their finances, and I thought that was in poor taste. She told us that, Nell acquired the child, the daycare center, because her grandmother gave it to her. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a blessing. That's a good thing, isn't it? She acquired the daycare from her grandmother, but she had to bring it from where it was when she got it to where it is now, and it's successful. So she even questioned where they got their wealth from, and I thought that was in poor taste, because it's like painting a narrative or giving people permission to come up with all of these insinuations. Like, maybe, and I'm just throwing this out there, they could have done it illegally. I mean, I didn't get the point, like why she brought that up or what that had to do with anything. And then the fact that she spilled her siblings' dirt. And I'm thinking, what do they have to do with this? So she spilled all of their dirt on them. And I thought that was in poor taste too. So I don't know how Lexi's going to actually recover from this. I still wish her well. Because in my opinion, she's in a very dark place and she's holding on to negative energy. I really wish her well, and I hope she recovers regardless of what happens between her and her father. That relationship may never be repaired. And I don't know, maybe Chris tried to repair it and it was irreparable. There's a part of me that sees, that could see Chris trying, and I could see resistance on the part of Lexi. That's just what I see, guys. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. We were told things. We weren't given a lot of context. There was a lot of contradictions in the interview. But the bottom line for me is that Lexi has a whole life now. Not only is she an adult, but she's a wife, a mother. And for her to be carrying this type of venom, it does cause me to wonder how it may be showing up in the dealings with her own little family. You know, how is it showing up when she deals with her husband? How is it showing up when she deals with her children? As a matter of fact, she did state that Chris sent the children gifts and she sent them back. She stated that the reason was because she didn't need anything from him. So in my opinion, in that particular instance, she actually ran interference between the children and their grandfather. And it was based on her desires. It was based on, her feelings. But did she consider the children? I just don't see this as being healthy for the children. And like I said, it actually caused me to wonder, did Chris in fact try to mend a relationship with Lexi? And was there interference, or maybe she was just resistant? I really don't know. I feel like there's just a lot that's missing, and like, I'm not here to drag anybody. I wish this family well. I know these things can be difficult, and y'all, it's really easy to watch people hear part of their story without knowing all of the details and just immediately drag someone based on our own, experiences, past experiences, or maybe current experiences. And it's really easy to get our emotions all into a thing, a situation that really isn't our thing or our situation, as in with the Fletchers and everything that they're going through, and that our emotions get control of us and have us drag these people. I don't want to drag them. Like, there's enough dragging going on as it is, right, of Black families. I want to see this family actually mend their broken pieces, put their relationship back together the best way that they can. Because, like I said, there are grandchildren involved. Lexi has grandchildren. So then the grandchildren, they're missing out on great experiences with the Fletchers. And I know that, Chris was in the streets when he was younger. We all know that Chris was in the streets when he was younger. Pretty much stated that. We don't know all the details about that either. She told us how they met. We heard here that she was a side chick. For me, that's neither here nor there in this particular instance, because it has nothing to do with Alexi's relationship with her dad. I guess we'll find out whether she was a side chick or not. I mean, she came on IG the other day and I watched it, and she said that she wasn't, and that she's going to save her story, for the show. And there are people who are dragging her for that, saying this was all just for a storyline. I actually love her decision to share it for the show. That's her platform. That's where she gets paid. So this whole interview with Lexi just gave them more to talk about. It gave them, it's a reality talk show. So it gave them some more of the real of their life so that they can address it on the show. And I feel like for Black families, for any family actually that's going through anything like this or has been through anything like this, there could be some takeaways. There could be some lessons learned in all of this. Anyway, y'all, I could go on and on and on about Lexi, the Fletchers, the interview and all that, but I just wanted to come before y'all and just share my thoughts, views, and opinions about the whole thing. And that's all this was, right, guys? It was just my opinion, my views, everything was alleged and all that jazz. Y'all, thanks for being here. If you haven't done so, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because I'll be back. Until then, ciao.
you like that?